All righty. Thank you for joining us for Shifting Your Leadership. Over the weeks, we've talked about the art of shifting. We talked about the shift factors. And today we're going to talk about adjusting your shift. In Numbers 14:24, it says, "But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit in him and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land where he went, and his descendants shall inherit it." Again, adjusting your shift. Adjusting means to modify. It means to tweak. It means change, or it means altering the change that may have already been made. Number one, as we go into adjusting your leadership, one thing you must remember: as a leader, you are responsible to see that the vision is accomplished. In other words, you're responsible, you're accountable as a leader, and you are liable to make sure the task or the project or the mission, that the goal is reached. You're the one held responsible. All right. I'm reminded of something my dad said years ago. He says, when the mission is successful, you'll hear the team say, we did it. But if it plummets, they're going to say, he did it, she did it. And funny as that may be, that's exactly how it goes. All righty. Number two, sometimes a leader must adjust his or her shift. We're talking about adjusting your shift. So you have to be okay to revisit the changes that you've already made. Because sometimes you'll make the shift. It seems like it was a smooth transition. Yet there are times you may still have to modify what seemed like the perfect shift. All righty. Number three, a leader must be attentive to the specific details. You have to be attentive. In other words, you're always focused. You're always on alert. You're watching for the particulars and you're watching for the data. And you're doing it because guess what? Excellence should be our ultimate goal, nothing less. Because we want whatever we do to be done in the spirit of excellence. All righty. Number four, a leader is responsible to make necessary assessments. If you recall, in the art of shifting, we learn that leadership requires sound judgment. Okay, and guess what? That never ceases, which means sometimes that's why it's important to make assessments that you can continue to make those sound judgments. As a leader, we're aware of the surrounding circumstances to make necessary corrections. Number five, a leader is responsible to consider the gauge. Let me say that again. A leader is responsible to consider and gauge the course of action. In other words, you have to weigh it out as a leader. That doesn't mean micromanaging, but it means staying abreast of what's going on with the team and what's going on concerning the mission that you have set out to accomplish. Because not to know is not your goal as a leader. You stay in the know. Why? Because you're the one responsible. Number six, a leader must continue to evaluate the shifting process. In other words, you know the changes that are made, and yet you make sure that they're yet significant, that they're yet relevant by evaluating the development. And we do it, and ultimately we try to do it without stifling the creativity of those that are around us. Because process determines the quality of your progress. So not only should a leader evaluate the shifting process, but number seven, a leader must continue to evaluate the shifting progress. In other words, you have to see the attainable goal and the measurable advancement. In other words, you're measuring and you're seeing the advancement, because you need to know that you and your team, you're winning. You're watching the scoreboard and you know that you're accomplishing. You see the advancement taking place right in front of you. Why? Because you're evaluating the shifting progress. Number 8, and leaders must keep the finish line in sight. Vital. Keep the finish line in sight. In other words, you see the assignment, you see the mission, and you see that it's being accomplished. Caleb, prime example, he kept his eyes on the prize that he saw 40 years earlier. He saw that mountain, he saw that promised land, and he wanted it. And he kept his eyes on that promise. So we have to stay focused as leaders. Know that you are on point, on time, and in purpose by adjusting if necessary, tweaking, changing, or even altering a shift that you've already made. All righty. So I say to each of you, leader, shift. Let's go back to our group session.